Making the most of these events is key, because these adventures create milestones in our lives, and what better way to document these milestones than through books? Milestones, big or small, but they all hold a special place in our hearts. The accomplishments may be personal, such as graduating from school or getting a promotion at work, or they may be shared with others, such as getting married or even having a child. These books can serve as a reminder of the hard work and dedication that went into reaching that goal. They can capture the memories and emotions associated with it, and they can be cherished for years to come. No matter what the milestone is, capture it in a book.
Welcome everyone on the final day of the World Cup for 2026. I know all the Spanish fans, the fans of Spain are quite happy, and perhaps it would be considered foolish, having this broadcast, launching this series on the day that the World Cup final ends, but the show goes on. The last time we had a live broadcast, my team was eliminated, and that is Brazil. So, welcome to Beyond the Publication. I'm your host, Dr. C. Ruth Taylor, CEO and founder of BambuSparks. And that's an independent publishing company that comes alongside independent, otherwise known as self-published authors, to help them to professionally publish their books that will be the platform for their success. Now, what if the desire to publish is not just about selling millions of copies of books? What if the desire to publish is a gateway to purpose? What if publication is not just about putting a book on a shelf, but creating a platform for transformation? This is Beyond the Publication with BambuSparks, where real stories, and you will hear real stories of authors whose lives have been transformed through publication. Apologies for the coughing. Something has just triggered up my sinus. But the show goes on. This series tracks the progress of authors who have published through BambuSparks, and they would have published for at least 1 year, and we want to find out through them, how has your life changed since publication? Our first guest today is Natalia Downer, an aspiring novelist who published her debut book, her children's book, which became an Amazon bestseller when she was 24 years old, through BambuSparks. This evening, she doesn't join us live. She's going to join us via video and answer 5 questions to tell us how her life changed beyond the publication. And I'm sure you'll find her story inspiring. Natalia infuses her writing with Christian principles to honor God. She serves in 2 ministries at Untitled Chapter. The terrific tales Reuben tells was written as a reminder that a shift in perspective allows us to see God's blessing in our lives. And so I'm here this evening, in addition to sharing that story, to answer your questions and to offer some tips to help independent authors achieve success. But before we get into her story, let me tell you a little bit more about BambuSparks and one of its offerings. So I am going to introduce you to our premium publishing Spark. So we offer different publishing services. As we said, we come alongside independent authors Some of them are too busy to handle the whole process themselves. Many of them are first time authors and they want someone to walk alongside them. And so we offer both a la carte services, if you just want like editing, formatting, or single services, as well as complete full service management so that you can publish a book that has professional quality, a book you can be proud of. And part of the show for this evening is that I'm going to give you some of the basic features of a professionally published book. And those of you who are joining live, you can put your questions in the chat and I'll answer them. We hope to wrap this up in an hour. Welcome to those who are joining live. The World Cup is over, and so I suppose you found the time to come and join us live. So let's learn more about one of the services of BambuSparks.
Script. The ideas are powerful. You've written the manuscript. The ideas are powerful. The message matters. But turning that manuscript into a professionally published book can feel overwhelming. Editing, formatting, cover design, ISBNs, publishing platforms. Suddenly, your dream of becoming an author turns into a long list of technical tasks you simply don't have time for. That's where the BambuSparks Premium 90-Day Publishing Spark comes in. Designed especially for busy professionals, this is a complete manuscript-to-market publishing experience. Think of it as a salon-style one-stop shop where experts handle the entire process for you, from comprehensive editing and proofreading to professional cover design, formatting, and publishing setup. We do the heavy lifting so you avoid the confusion and receive a polished, high-quality book you can truly be proud of. In just 90 days, your manuscript can become a professionally published book ready for readers. Your story deserves to be shared. Let BambuSparks help turn your publishing dream into reality. Visit BambuSparks.com/publishing deals to get started today.
Okay, so if you're just joining us, remember we are tracking the progress of our authors. Now, BambuSparks, as I told you, is an independent publishing services company and we are online. We are Caribbean based, but we work online globally and we have published for authors in at least 11 countries. And we do mostly memoirs, nonfiction, books. We do some poetry, and we do children's books on a case-by-case basis. And Natalia was one of those cases. And she's unable to join us live. And so by video, you're going to listen to her inspiring story. All right. And she's Jamaican. So let's go with that story.
Fulfilled me in so many ways. Greetings, everyone. My name is Natalia Downer. I'm the Chief Publishing Lead and Creative Director at BambuSparks and author of The Terrific Tales Reuben Tells, a children's devotional disguised as a story about a poor little boy named Reuben who likes to spin tales for his grandmother to bring some excitement to their rather boring lives. But what Reuben doesn't realize is that each story that he tells has a big life lesson attached. And Nana, his grandmother, is the one who brings them to light for him, along with accompanying Christian principles. It's my debut book, and you can check it out on Amazon. More to come. But anyway, now I will be answering some questions for you, so let's get right into it. Wow. Publishing a book fulfilled me in so many ways. Not only did it fulfill my lifelong dream of becoming a published author, literally my dream since I was a child, but it also provided me with a job almost right out of university. And it enriched my faith just because of how everything came together. So, as I mentioned earlier, I've always wanted to be an author. I grew up writing, and so naturally I found myself doing my degree in writing, literature, and publishing. I had a children's book ready, and I really wanted to get it published. Now, trying to get your book traditionally published is difficult in and of itself, but especially so in Jamaica. And the types of books that the very few publishing houses that we have here will accept have to be specifically Caribbean-based or Caribbean-themed or educational, neither of which match the content of my book. It's also limiting, honestly. So I figured from then that I would try the self-publishing route, but I didn't quite know where to start. So by the time I actually came to that conclusion that I wanted to self-publish, a friend of mine from church messaged me one Sunday when I wasn't at church that day, I was at home. He messaged me and told me that some publishers had come to church that day. So I asked him to send me all the information, and lo and behold, it was BambuSparks. I reached out to them, and they offered all the services that I would need to take my book from manuscript to published book. And they were a Jamaican company, but one that didn't reject my book because it wasn't Caribbean enough. And I especially loved the fact that because they would take care of the entire publishing process for me, it would still feel like a traditional publishing deal in a sense. They were exactly what I was looking for. My favorite part about this story. Honestly, I couldn't have imagined all that would come out of publishing this book. I mean, the recognition as a writer, a radio interview, having author attached to my name and accolades, but also employment, sweet, sweet employment. I didn't end up handing over my manuscript and kicking up my feet. Oh no, I actually got to work on my book right throughout. I couldn't afford BambuSparks' services at the time, so they offered me a service exchange where I would do as much work as it would take for them to publish my book. And can I just say the invaluable things I've learned from working with them? I can publish any book at this point. And as someone who loves working on creative projects and who would want to have as much control as possible on my own projects, especially for my first little book, it was absolute bliss. A literal dream come true. And we got on so well together that they ended up offering me a full-time position. The whole process of that happening was so God-breathed. I mean, it's just insane every time I think about it. And when I tell you about God's perfect timing, I mean, just wow. I got a job working in the exact field that I studied in, a field that several people told me that I'd never find a job in. All while getting to publish my own book and getting the chance to build my creative skills, positioning me to be able to publish any other book that I will decide to write. God is so, so good. I mean, how could my faith not increase after that? That book, by God's grace, quite literally changed my life. Now, I know with my answer to the previous question, one would think I would have spoken about the success of my book. Well, there hasn't been much success, but that's entirely my fault. When it comes to marketing your book as a self-published author, you have to put in the work. You have to tie your book to something, a campaign, a program, that sort of thing can really help. Authors out there, please, I'm begging you, I beg. Don't be like me and let fear keep you from achieving the kind of success that an established author has. Build your email lists, create campaigns, do whatever you have to do within your means, and if it's outside of your means, get the help that you need. The thing is, why are you going to put so much effort into writing a book and getting it published just to sit down on it and allow it to flop? And yes, I'm definitely speaking to myself right now. I need to step it up, honestly. Because you know what? when I just published my book, I was getting attention after the radio interview I did, and I read my book at Read Across Jamaica Day. Someone else actually bought one of my books and used it to read for Read Across Jamaica Day as well. And I was getting attention, I was getting traction. But then I was too scared to do a book launch. I didn't run any ad campaigns. I didn't do any more marketing after that. And well, I'm sure you can imagine how my book is doing right now. But I have a plan. I have a plan, and I just need to execute it. I need to stop allowing fear to get in the way, and I need to just do it. Yes, and you need to do it too. I would say the best thing that has happened since publishing is the experience. The various experiences that came out of this, from the experience of finally becoming a published author, that whole feeling, to the work experience, the growth and the stretching, all of it. I wouldn't trade it for anything, honestly. It has been such a beautiful, beautiful experience. So guys, please, listeners, go write a book, go get it published, and do the marketing. Thank you. Bye.
And what a beautiful story. Remember, when I started, I said, what if publishing a book is not just about the book sales or putting it on a shelf? In Natalia's case, and you may ask questions, drop any publishing questions you have in the chat, please put it there and I will answer the question. In Natalia's case, her desire to publish her story opened doors to a dream job. And that was not part of the expectation at the time. She was already trained in the area with her degree in writing and publishing. She already had that. But when she thought of just publishing her book, it was making that dream come true. And then it became better than she dreamed, which those of you who know me, that's a phrase and a book of mine. And affordability. No, she said she couldn't afford the prices offered at BambuSparks. The full publishing package for a children's book of up to 30 pages is actually $1,500. But that did not deter Natalia. She didn't have a job. She couldn't afford it. But her skills, and the service exchange that she spoke about helped her. So at BambuSparks, we trained her in the art of publishing, and she was good at Canva and video designing and just a bright cookie, so to speak. She's just amazing. And we felt that we could invest in her in terms of teaching her. And she became an incredible asset to us, and we hired her. And so for some persons, the desire to publish, the lessons you have learned in the process, the skills you develop in the process could actually become skills that create income for you. Natalia has been with us for 2 years. It's skills that you could use. Like she said, she can publish any book now. And so she learned. Those are some of the surprises in the process. For those of you who are already authors, what are some of the surprises that have come along the way since you've published your book? Put it in the chat. What opportunities have come your way since you have published your book? I noticed she said that the book itself hasn't sold a lot because she hasn't been doing a lot of the marketing. And I know that is a sore point for many authors. Most authors want to write and publish and the reality is that books don't sell themselves. And she gave some ideas there of how you can do it. And she's recognized that and she's going to work on it. For those of you who are joining live, because I know some persons are joining live, let me know. Are you an established author already? Have you published? What are some of the surprises? One of our publishing partners, Daphne Ellis, says, it turned on a book. So for her, the desire to publish a book, having gone through the process, it changed her entire life. For her too, it was also a career pivot. So I want to ask again, what if the desire to publish is just a gateway to purpose rather than just a means to sell 1 million books and become famous? That's something for your consideration. We're going to take a break. I'm going to show you another of our BambuSparks offerings. And when I come back, I'm going to talk about features of a professionally published book and open the floor for questions. Any publishing question you have, I am here to answer as best as I can. But if you don't put any questions in the chat, I cannot answer it. So please begin to put your question in the chat so that this can be interactive. And by all means, go and get Natalia's book, The Terrific Tales Reuben Tells. And it is a Christian children's book. One of the things is that Natalia wanted a book that she didn't see out there. So she wrote the book that she wanted that wasn't available. And so go on Amazon and order it. Remember, Amazon, will, even in Jamaica, will ship it right to your doorstep. And so I invite you to go and get that book. And here's one more for offerings that may interest you, because we are interested in professional publishing. And so if you don't know where to get an editor, cover designer, you name it, you can contact us as well.
Publishing journey yourself. You've done the writing, you're organizing the process, and you're handling most of your book publishing journey yourself. You've done the writing, you're organizing the process, and you're determined to bring your book to life. But then you hit a few roadblocks. Maybe you need professional editing. Maybe you're not sure how to format your manuscript for print or ebook. Or perhaps you know your book needs a strong cover, but design isn't your area of expertise. Our publishing marketplace gives you the freedom to choose exactly the support you need. Nothing more, nothing less. Simply identify the service you're looking for, and one of our approved publishing professionals will be assigned to deliver it with care and precision. Need editing, formatting, design, publishing support? We've got you covered. Services start at just $100 with standard delivery in 5 days, and express options available when you need things done even faster. You keep your independence, but also your confidence, knowing you're only a couple clicks away from getting professional help and technical support for those trickier publishing tasks. No confusion, no guesswork, just professional support and quality results you can be proud of. Because your story deserves to be published the right way. Visit BambuSparks.com/marketplace and spark your self-publishing journey today.
All right, and if you're wondering what our publishing marketplace looks like, I am going to just show that to you just now. And it's BambuSparks.com. That's bamboo with a U. All right, it's not BAMBOO. That's bamboo with a U. And in our publishing marketplace, we have several competent publishing services providers. So we partner with other publishers and publishing, we call them publishing services providers, a very competent team. Some of them are also publishers. And so when you go to our marketplace, you will see some, not all. And BambuSparks is women-owned and women-led. So most of our services, you will find women. And almost everybody who works with us is an author. So our team understands the process. So we have Keth Joy Watson, one of the co-owners of BambuSparks, and she's a partner, and she does Well, her debut book, Safe With Me, is a romance novel, and she was our chief editor for quite some time, and she still does editing from time to time. We have Dr. Zoe Simpson, nonfiction book editor. She specializes in academic texts, but she also does regular nonfiction, and she also owns her own publishing services company. And almost, many of our publishing services providers, I trained them and certified them as publishing coaches. I love teaching about publishing. We have Dr. Sharma Taylor. Her bio is just illustrious. She's a traditionally published author of fiction, and she does the story edit for us, the thing that ChatGPT or other AI tools is yet to still master. You need that human touch to see if the creative writing really sticks, if the story really comes together well. And Dr. Taylor does that for us. She's an award-winning writer. And we have Phyllis Thomas. She was a veteran editor and journalist at the Jamaica Gleaner for many years. And you were introduced to Natalia, who, is a jack of all trades. We have a publishing, a website developer, and that's Colin Blake, and he does an awesome job. We have Janet Morgan, another publisher. We have Patricia Lindsay Fetcher. We have Daphne, and then we have others, and we don't put them on the site, but we have several others who work with us for formatting, for cover design, and all the services. If you are ordering something in our marketplace, you have to order at least $100 worth, and it's for a single service, right? And it tells you what you can get at $100. Now, this is similar like when you go on Fiverr. Everything at Fiverr used to start at $5, but we start at $100. And so you can see the starting rates and the other rates, and then you contact admin, set up a consultation call, book a call to discuss, and then we will follow up. I'm going to check the chat if there are any questions in the chat. Where are you joining from? Are you an author? Do you have any questions that you want me to answer? Put it in the chat. If not, I'm just going to go over to the publishing tips. That's Janet Morgan. Oh, yes. So since publishing, I've created an intergenerational space. We have conversation on the wisdom nuggets mentioned in the book. Congratulations. So you see that? Beyond the publication and just the sales, now she has created a space for, I call that a mentoring space, intergenerational conversational space. And so you see that publishing allows you to connect with others. And a book is a great conversation starter. And for those who are Christians, it's a great tool for ministry. And we know that from the Bible. The Bible is a library of books. It's an anthology, right? And we gather around it weekly and have conversations and stuff like that. And your book can serve that purpose. All right. Thank you, Janet, for that. All right. So let me get into the teaching segment, because one of my concerns is that with AI, with Amazon, when I started in 2014 writing and looking, investigating publishing, and I didn't understand the publishing landscape. I didn't know the difference between traditional publishing and self-publishing or independent publishing or hybrid publishing. I was following a friend of mine, and I went with her company, and it was costly. I didn't know the different types of editing. I didn't read. I was an avid reader. I would read 2 to 3 books per week. From a teenager, books were my best friend because I was shy and introverted and didn't know how to really talk to people or connect with people. Books became my best friends. but I really didn't have an eye for what a book really should look like. And the truth is, not casting any shade on my publishing company at the time that I used, but when the book came out, there was some embarrassment. There were folks who were telling me that my book wasn't formatted properly. And the sad thing is, I didn't see a copy of the book for reasons I don't want to get into until the day of the book launch. And so it was too late to correct anything. And there were some mistakes made. And those who understood what a professionally published book looked like, they were the ones to correct me. And then after that, I didn't always want to be publishing books for others. And so I was relying on a company and their expertise to help with my book for the first 4 years of my book publishing journey. And even when I started as a publishing services company, I was still depending on others to do the formatting, the different things, because I don't like self-publishing. It's a misnomer. You cannot do everything well. Some people do, but if you want to scale, it's not advisable to try to do everything on your own. And there were still mistakes along the way. And so what I'm about to share is not out of arrogance, right? I'm about to share something because I made a mistake. And I want, when you look at a book that you have funded the publication, self-publishing they call it, we call it independent publishing in the Caribbean, that when you compare it to books by traditionally published authors at a glance, just the cover and just flipping through the interior, you can be proud. It will not look any different. So I'm not talking about the content, the quality of the content. I'm going to be talking about the packaging. And I want you to pay attention. And this is what I teach in my publishing courses. But here is a short teaching to help you so that our books, even as you use the AI tools and the different things, even as you outsource, you need to know what the finished product really looks like, what it should look like, so that the content can be received how it should be received. Because it pains my heart to see some of the books that are coming out of Jamaica, the Caribbean, or even elsewhere, that Dr. So-and-so has published it. It's self-published because when you take it up and look at it, it lacks some of the professional elements. And I think this doesn't work in your favor. So here we go. All right. Features of a professionally published book. I'm just going to give you a few tips starting on the outside, and then you can check your book. If your book has met these features, and if it isn't, then you can, make the next one better, or if you can get it corrected, get it corrected. It's not too late in this digital era. All right, so you want to master the invisible rules so that the story speaks and you're not focusing on it. So when the packaging rivals the traditional masters, the self-publishing stigma, it helps, it disappears. I want you to apply these standards of typographic and structure to make your book look good. So let's start with the outside, the cover. One of the greatest tragedies in independent publishing is brilliant storytelling that is masked by homemade aesthetics. What does that mean? Many times the cover looks homemade. You can know that the author just went into Canva to whip up something. And the truth is that your book is judged by its cover. And you can lose credibility in seconds. One of the mistakes that I see some self-published authors make is that you're trying to explain the book on the cover. The purpose of the cover is not just to attract attention, but it needs to tell me what kind of book is this, what genre of book it is. And it needs to look a certain way. So one of the things you can do is get templates from big name authors, New York Times bestselling authors in your genre or otherwise. And some of these rules apply regardless of the genre that I'm about to share or the tips. And you need to look, what does a Penguin Random House publishing book look like? If you don't know the names, Zondervan, Thomas Nelson, Bacon Taylor, the different names, but you may know the authors. And I have put a few here, 4 different genres up here. Michelle Obama, we all know, and she got a $64 million deal, right? So you always want to have a book from one of these big name authors or established publishers so that you can compare to see style. Notice with the name, her name, Michelle Obama, your name can go top or bottom. Her name is big, a little bit bigger than the title, maybe because her name carries weight. But notice you don't see by Michelle Obama on it. One of the dead giveaways, is when we pick up one of these books and you see by Mary Jane. No, it's taken for granted that the book is by you because your name is there. So don't put any by on the cover. The subtitle is usually smaller. Notice here, and it can be put creatively on the cover. So one of the things I've run into in the last 10 years or so, working with authors, is that they will say, oh, my friend is a graphic artist and they can design the cover. And when they come back with the cover, it's not done. Your friend might be a good graphic artist, but there are rules to cover design. And they often don't know. And if you don't know, it's like blind leading blind. And the title of the book, The Light We Carry. And notice this has some light. It doesn't have a lot of image. So your cover doesn't always need an image, but if it carries an image, it needs to be reflective of the genre and be matching the title. So immediately get a sense of the kind of book that it is. All right. So no by on it. And no. And notice there are no colons or things like that. Sometimes I get covers from those starting as they send me a sample and you put a colon to separate the title and the subtitle. You don't do that, right? It's by design. Look at J.D. Barker. He writes thrillers, fiction, and he's been compared. He works with James Patterson and he's really well established. His name again is Big J.D. Barker. And sometimes the size of your name also is about the size of the author, how people see you. Because when you put your name small, sometimes that can be conveyed that you are diminishing yourself. Look at the title, Something I Keep Upstairs. And this is it's a chiller, it's a horror. But look at it, right? So novels, many fiction books don't carry subtitles. But there's something there that kind of tells you the genre, a chiller, he calls it. Or it could be a thriller. Let's look at this devotional by T.D. Jakes. There's nothing on it that says by T.D. Jakes. It's just a name. Woman, thou art healed and whole, a 90-day devotional. Notice that the subtitle is smaller. And you can notice that there are 2 different fonts as well. So you want to look at those things. The Bridgerton series here with Julia Quinn is not by Julia Quinn, it's just Julia Quinn. And they've updated the cover to put Simon and Daphne. And very often with romance, that kind of genre, they may have a little hook or tagline on the cover or something like that. So you don't want any colon to separate the title from the subtitle. It's a matter of design. Usually the title is bigger and the subtitle smaller. You can put that creatively on the book. You don't want written by John Doe on it, right? And I've seen that in children's book, it seemed that it may be allowed. You see written and illustrated by, but that's very often the children's book, not for the regular standard fiction or non-fiction adults book. So if your book is not a children's book, don't bother with it. All right. And that's a common mistake. And so it's a type of font that you use. As a matter of fact, the different genres have different font types. So you can research font types that go with horror, font types that go with fiction, font types that go with memoirs, and just Google. Is not just putting any old font on the cover as well. So that's the difference in terms of professional quality. All right, so just get a template. So the visual imaging, establish the exact genre. Don't try to explain the cover with the images and so within 2 seconds, somebody needs to identify, is this a memoir? Is this a pet book? Is it a geography book? Is this romance? Is this fantasy? Is this that kind of thing? All right. So very often the subtitle, as I said, is smaller. The author name stands alone. You don't want written by and that kind of thing. Then the spine of the book. We're still talking about features of a professionally produced book. We're looking at, they've put several box series for Jane Austen, but look at the spine of this book. The spine normally has the author's name, the title of the book, and the logo or name of the publisher. One of the giveaways that this was homemade, self-published, not professionally done, is that it doesn't have these elements. Or you try to put your subtitle, your title and subtitle on the cover, and you even put a colon. 99% of the time, the spine doesn't carry the subtitle. And if it does, because I've seen a few, it is again marked by design where the subtitle is smaller. And it's usually sometimes for books that are bigger. Some books may not have any spine. The width is not, when I say don't have any spine, doesn't have a big enough spine for you to write the information on the spine as it should be. If it's less than 100 pages, 30 pages, 24 pages, that kind of thing is often difficult, right? So those are some of the giveaways that this wasn't done professionally, and you want it to be done professionally. Author name, just the title of the book, not the subtitle, and a publishing logo. I have one book that, it was so tiny, I wasn't sure anything could go on it, and I know better, but this was intentional. I'm still going to try, but this was just a little token I created to give away. But I want you to know the rules, right? Because you have some little tiny books that you staple. And then the back cover now, you can sometimes put back the title on it at the design on the back, or you can use a headline like this one for Chef Ricardo. We have success lessons from a YouTube star chef, over 1.5 million subscribers. I think he's probably at 2 million now. But look at this back cover, and you can look at others. You don't need to. All right, the back cover information, you don't want too much information. You don't want about the author on the back either. If you look at most of the traditionally published books, it don't have about the author on the back, but you will have information about the author. It's by design. So those are some of the little things that give away and detract from it. So it's a design. Some of you don't have any publishing logo anywhere on the back of it. So immediately know that this was homemade, this is self-published, this is substandard. You don't have any barcode on the back. All paperback books or hardcovers must have an ISBN with the barcode on it. And sometimes you make the back cover information, even if it's a memoir, too much about you and not what the reader should expect from the book. How you write the description for a fiction book, and depending on the genre of fiction is different from how you write it for non-fiction. And so you can look it up. You don't want to crowd it, right? So we've covered what the outside basic thing should look like. You don't have to have a picture at the back. Notice Chef Ricardo one don't have a picture, but if you have a picture, it's fine. All right, but the basic things, the publisher's information should be there. If you're including about the author, many times it's a short thing, 2-3 sentences, 50 words. You can have back covers that are mainly blurb driven, as in the old use of the term. You just have mainly what we call it endorsement, short reviews at the back. And I'm talking more the case laminate. Even if it's hardcover, this is the case laminate. If it's a dust jacket, it's a little different. On the inside of the dust jacket, they will have different things. But paperback covers, certain elements are there. Then we go on the inside. One of the dead giveaways sometimes that you did this by yourself and you never have proper guidance is how you format the paragraphs within the book. So your chapter heading is usually away from the top of the page, and it is usually big, and you can have different styles. But when it comes to the paragraphs, you're either going to go with indented paragraphs as the dominant format, or spacing paragraphs, which is mostly in nonfiction books. But the first paragraph of every new chapter, and many times after a subheading, is usually not indented. So that's usually another giveaway. Look at the one that is here. Notice it is flushed left, and then the paragraphs beneath it, the indentation should not be as big as 0.5, like when you're writing a college paper. So that is some of the giveaway. When I open the book, I'm like, oops, this wasn't done properly. It should be like 0.2 or 0.25, like half of what you would normally do for a college paper. You want to have a title page. You shouldn't have the book without a title page. And normally the title page will have the publisher's logo, the author's name, the title or subtitle. Remember, not all books have subtitle. And then certain pages don't carry numbers, right? So your copyright page should not have a number. Your title page, you need to know the order in which, research the order in which the parts of the book should be done. Your first chapter and new parts of a book should start on the right-hand side when you open the book. So those are some of the giveaways. Some people don't like blank pages, which often happens if you're doing conventional formatting. But after chapter 1, some of the companies, they alternate, right? But these are some of the things. You don't want to start the first paragraph too close to the top of the page and things like that. So the lines here indicate paragraphs and how it should be. And notice that the first chapter, the chapter title page, like I said, chapter 1, chapter 2, nothing is above it. You may have a number at the center or you may not have a number. So page numbers and headers belong on the outer edges. Numbers can be at the top or the bottom. We call that the footer or the header. And watch what you place in the header. The header should not have, for example, the title and on one side and the subtitle on another side. That's not how it works. You either have the title and the author's name, or you have the title and the title of the book, and then the name of each chapter on the other side, and you alternate. Now, spacing paragraphs are also allowed, especially for nonfiction books. So notice it's not indented. That is fine. So this book here is called Redibo, and the author is Joan French, and the numbers are at the bottom center. That's okay. They could be on the outer edges too, but rarely do you see it where it is going into the spine, you know, where you bind the book. So here's another type. So and then the space between sentences is not times 2. You know, it's not that big. You can have 1.15, 1.2, or 1.3. So sometimes one of the giveaways that this wasn't professionally done is that you see that it is double spaced, or it's not a college paper you're writing. So to sum up, and if you have questions, please put it in the chat. I'm going to come back to them. So what you want to do, I'm saying, is study the templates of best-selling authors like Michelle Obama, T.D. Jakes, and publishers like Penguin Random House, Hachette, HarperCollins, Macmillan. Look at some of your textbooks in school and see how those were done. So that as you self-publish and use AI to reduce costs and different things, you're getting what you're producing is packaged properly so that you can get the respect that you deserve, right? And you can be proud of the book. So remember, the cover has to do with identification of the genre. Within 2 seconds, we should know what kind of book it is. The author attribution, the name stands alone. Don't put by Mary Jane on it. When separating title and subtitle, do not use any colons or to separate title and subtitle in the cover design or on the spine, on the front cover or on the spine. Yes, when you're listing it on Amazon or any platform, when you're writing a regular sentence in the book or even on the cover in the description, you can put a colon to separate it. But in terms of the front cover design, no. In terms of the spine of the book, no. Design separates it. Handle invisible through typography. For your indented paragraphs, remember the first paragraph of a new chapter should not be indented. It should be flushed left. The paragraphs that come after should be indented like 0.2 or 0.25, but never 0.5. And if you remember these things, you will have a book that looks professionally published. We have not touched the content yet. We're just talking about the look and the appearance so that we can elevate the independent publishing or self-publishing space. Any thoughts, comments on that? Any questions? I see here Janet Morgan was saying that she also has conversation starter cards. That's good based on her book. Any questions for me? As we bring this to a close, it will be the same format, except sometimes we're going to have the authors live. So sometimes we may get a video story. There's going to be some teaching, and I'm going to have room for Q&A. So come with your questions. It's going to be every third Sunday, God willing. It may be me or another member of the team, but we're going to highlight our BambuSparks authors, track their progress, what has happened since publication. And so I want to thank Natalia Downer for sharing her story, how publishing, just beyond the publication, publishing helped her to land her dream job. And now she can publish her own books. So even though the story that she published, it became an Amazon bestseller, she didn't sell thousands of copies. That opened the door to a job for her and skills and experiences that she would never trade. So if there are no more questions, I just want to remind you to subscribe to our YouTube channel as we continue to provide information and inspiration so that you can create greater impact and income with your books. And tell your friends about BambuSparks Publishing. Go to www.bambusparks.com and see you again on the third Sunday next month. Thanks for joining, Auntie Janet and others who joined live.
Throughout our lives, we encounter adventures and memorable events. They can be cherished for years to come. No matter what the milestone is, capture it in a book.